Let's move on to our Monday night live stream right here on Pub Sports Radio, Monday, October 9th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. The Green Bay Packers 2-2, 1-1 on the road at Las Vegas. Raiders 1-3, 0-1 at home. We're at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's get into the line history here for this one. First off, the spread at Pinnacle down to 1. Well, it opened at 1, but there are 2s everywhere else, and it's not a real 1. Green Bay's -1 at -122. We probably get a better idea if we get to the money line on this one. So let's move to the money line. And here we go. From a money line perspective, the Packers are sitting at -130. They opened up at -109. There's been a constant move towards them. It went from -109 to -137. In about 36 hours. That's a big move towards these Packers. Let's take a look at the total for this one, our Monday nighter. Get to this total, and here we go. From a total perspective, we're sitting here at 44.5. This opened up at 43.5 and has climbed, and this 44.5 is juiced, and we see Bovada hanging the 45. Let's get into the cash flow for this spot here. From a money line perspective, it's 88% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on the Packers. From a spread perspective, it's much, much closer. 56% of the tickets and 56% of the cash on the Packers. And from a total perspective, you have 52% of the tickets and 87% of the cash on the over. Big bets have come in on that over, and the market has moved it a point. The Packers come in off extra rest that they need badly. They looked horrible on Thursday Night Football. 34-20, they lose. They were down 27-3 at the break. At the break, they were outgained 284-21. It was an embarrassment. It's a halftime deficit now that they've faced in back-to-back weeks of 17 points. It's the first time in franchise history. Jordan Love was 23 of 36 for 246 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Dubs caught 9 for 95. He's rolling right now, and he's very dangerous. Aaron Jones back, but the ground game was non-existent. As a group, they finished with 12 carries for 27 yards. The offense was held to just 230 total yards and was 3 for 11 on third down. Jones looked really pensive, on the ground. And they only held the ball for 22 minutes and 2 seconds. I imagine it's going to be very different here. They're going to want to have the ball for long periods of time. They're going to want to move the ball on the ground. They couldn't get enough pressure on Goff, 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and they're missing important pieces. So Jair Alexander's back injury hurts him badly. Elgin Jenkins out for 2 straight games now with his knee injury. And David Bakhtiari's missed 3 straight games with his knee injury. And now Bakhtiari is on the IR. He was put on the IR, so he's going to miss at least the next 3 games. So we don't need to sit here and hum and haw whether Bakhtiari is going to be in. We know the offensive line won't have him. It's Elgin Jenkins that we need to wait for. And then, of course, Jair Alexander, who we need to figure out if he can be back. The Raiders coming off that 24-17 loss at the Chargers, and with Jimmy G in concussion protocol, Aiden O'Connell looked pretty good out of Purdue. 4th-round pick out of Purdue, 24-39 for 238 yards, no touchdowns in the pick. He did fumble 3 times, losing 2 of them. That's a problem. But the Raiders got 6 more first downs than the Chargers did. You could see the issues that a young quarterback is going to have, and not a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 overall pick that we've seen those quarterbacks step up. But here with these 4th-round picks, they went 1 of 11 on third down and 2 of 5 in the red zone. And that's what you're going to see. But they're capable of getting first downs, just not when it's all on the line and the defense tightens up. Josh Jacobs ran 17 times for 58 yards, caught 8 for 81. Devontae Adams caught 8 for 75. And no one on the offensive line was able to stop Khalil Mack. I mean, it was wild watching him go crazy. 10 tackles and 6 sacks. It was unbelievable. The defense did a nice job slowing down Herbert. The Chargers offense was held to 305 total yards and 16 first downs. That surprised me. I mean, Herbert had career lows in completions, attempts, and yardage. We're talking about another quarterback who really needs the bye that he's receiving this week. And again, Max Crosby was the only Raider who was able to penetrate the offensive line. Nobody else is helping him up there. 2 sacks. Only 2 other Raiders managed to hit Herbert. They each hit Herbert once, but no sacks. Trayvon Morgan had a big interception in the 4th quarter, but they lose Donald Long to an ankle injury in the 3rd quarter. Their cornerback, and there's been no update right now on his status. So I understand why people want to back the Packers. I expect this to be a nice bounce back opportunity for them, in Las Vegas, when we know they're going to have a ton of fans in the crowd. You're going to see a ton of green and yellow out there. And I think it's a great, bounce back spot. But as you said earlier, the money line here has been hammered. The spread has not. And I'm very interested what happens with this spread. Take it away for us here. Packers, Raiders, Allegiant Stadium. Our Monday nighter will be live right here for it. Take it away.
I think this game is going to be closely contested either way. So it's really hard for me to take a side when the line's at 1.5. I really don't see an edge when it comes to the side in this game. I think the Packers are going to perform well versus bad teams in this Raiders team. I mean, what are we going to get? They held the Chargers scoreless in the second half. Khalil Mack, 8 sacks. This pass blocking at one point through 2 weeks in the NFL season, the Raiders were number 1 in pass blocking. Well, that's not the story, as they dropped all the way to 10th now. I just don't know exactly what to expect from these two teams, but I do know the home team's a dog. I do know this game's on Monday night. So primetime unders, the home team's a dog. It failed me with the Jets, and I should have been back on it the following day with the Giants. I didn't do it. Instead, I backed the Giants like a fucking dumbass. Well, I'm not going to miss my opportunity this game. I'm going to move right now on the under, 44.5.
Moving on. Well, we can give you a 45. I mean, a 45 is available. Pinnacle is going to move this and move everybody because they're 44.5 is juiced minus 112 to the.
I can get a 45 at PointsBet. I'll roll with you. Yeah, 45. Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate you, man.
No worries. Troy, moving on this under 45. What's the juice over at PointsBet?
Minus 110.
Regular juice for Troy. Do you have interest in backing the Packers here? And if so, what would keep you off it at this point?
I just don't know. After seeing what happened with the Packers in the last game, and I know they've been sitting, they've had extra rest, they've been thinking about getting their asses whooped and embarrassed in front of the whole entire country on Thursday Night Football. I mean, I'm definitely not backing the Raiders at this point. I would be on the Packers. I mean, that's the side I'm leaning to right now, Jimmy.
And I can understand Sky Dragon saying, what has Green Bay done to be road chalk? Beat terrible Chicago, lost to terrible Atlanta, come back against a backup quarterback with the Saints. And I can agree with all that. When Aaron Jones is healthy and the comeback by the Raiders in the second half, the Chargers were a banged up squad that knew they were about to go on their bye week. I really felt the focus dropped, and it was an easy live bet on the Raiders. That's the way I can explain the comeback from the Raiders and the disappointing offense from the Chargers. And look, they're still reeling over the injuries. We're waiting for their stars out wide, one of them to get hurt. Of course, it's Mike Williams, and he's gone for the season. DG says the Raiders stink too. That's true, but it's not like Green Bay has done anything to lay points on the road. Look, I agree with that, and I can understand moving on the under here, regardless of who's at quarterback, because when push came to shove and they needed a first down, the Raiders were incapable of getting one with O'Connell. Maybe he'll be better here at home.
And the Raiders have the slowest pace in the NFL. They have the least amount of plays run in per game.
But this total here climbing the way it is going to have me sit back and figure it out. I'm not going to move on it. And the concern about the Packers here, if they deserve it, I see a big bounce back spot for Aaron Jones. I really do. Now he needs to practice in full every day this week. I mean, you want to see things like that. I think that this is a buy low spot for them, and you could say it's a buy low spot for the Raiders, but they're going to be buy low spots for the Raiders every game all year. I mean, they're just a bad football team. We have their win total under. We expect them to go for the first overall pick. That's the expectation here that I have for the Raiders. So, but I don't want the Packers enough right now. I want to see Aaron Jones. I want an explanation from him for why they were so bad on the ground. He has to be a huge part of this offense, and when he's not, they're bad. Al Cervix says first half under is what he's hearing. Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this total as it's climbing right now. And Jared TG says two bad defenses here. He expects a ton of rush yards on both sides. I like that. I get that. All right.
Good. That's good for the under. Hopefully they're not explosive runs and just keep it 4 or 5 yards a pop. We'll be good with the under.